Here we go.
We're going.
So,
we're going.
Paul,
We're on. This is different. Look how we're sitting.
do you like being close to me?
Yeah, I love it.
I knew it.
Great.
You always have. Paul, today we have a very special guest with us, don't we?
Yes.
Because when I last went and had my hair done, well, actually not the last time, the time before, my hairdresser, what have you been doing, Mandie? And I said, I've started a podcast. What's it about? I said, we're reflecting back on our youth and everything. And then he said to me, have I got a story for you? And I did think a little bit like, oh yeah, what's his story going to be? But the more the story progressed, the more I was like, you need to get on the show and tell us his story. And so this is actually the start of a new segment.
Yep.
Called That's So 80s.
That's so 80s.
So welcome to the show, Christian Brown.
Yay.
Hi, Mandie. Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Great
Hello.
to be here.
Thank you very much
Nice
for
to
being
meet you.
here.
Thank you. I feel like I'm one of those people, that call up on the radio and they say, long-term listener, first-time caller.
Perfect.
I've been watching the podcast.
Have you been watching? Thank you so much.
We
really
it every time.
we really
Excellent.
appreciate your
Is there
support.
one person that likes?
Yeah.
It starts with one.
It always starts with one. So Christian is a hairdresser based in Elwood. What's your salon called? Let's give it a plug.
Give it a plug.
Brown hair, appropriately named.
Yes.
Is it Christian Brown
The
hair?
hair, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I do want to just say one thing that I didn't tell you that I was going to say, and that is how proud I am of you, because Christian is a completely self-sustaining, is that the right word? Sustainable hairdresser. And I think that's actually a really mean feat for hairdressing, because there's a lot of stuff I imagine you would throw away, and you found a way to be completely sustainable?
Mostly. I'm trying to minimise as much of the waste as I can. I'm trying to use products that are more sustainable, which I've been sort of digging into about 25 years now, avoiding ammonia and chemicals and all those toxins that were just a part of the 80s.
Yeah.
And now that are sort of slowly, and we're getting more and more awareness, and getting them out of our lives. So I do a lot of that, and I also try to recycle my rubbish where possible. I won't bore you with all the details.
I brought it up. I think it's amazing.
That's good.
Thank
Great.
you.
I don't have to worry about that sort of thing, though.
Why not? Do you wash your hair?
I don't have hair, mate. We've been
Just
through
trying to
this.
be
You can
polite.
see that I don't have hair.
Do you wash your beard?
Oh, no, yeah. A little scrub now and then. Sure.
Anyway, so the reason why Christian's here is because I could not believe the story that you told me. So I'm going to set it up with, you grew up in deep suburbia. So we grew up in Bayside. You grew up in, did you say Glen Waverley to me?
No, I was in the north side, so West Meadows. So out
where's West
Meadows?
Meadows?
The ghetto.
Meadows.
Melbourne, the north side.
Yeah. So what was life like growing up there before we get into the story?
Yeah, it was interesting because, Broadie had a pretty bad reputation, right?
Did,
it was one of the, the
Rough.
Badlands.
Yeah.
And so
Don't make eye contact
I can't
with
say
them.
I was aware of that when I was about 10, but I was originally born in Chelsea, so not down the side of town.
Yep.
And so we lived around here from, 1970s. And then I think it was late 80s. I was around about 10 or 11 or so. There was a whole new estate that was developed on the edge of suburbia. So it was a little bit, I'm talking 5 minutes from Broadie, but it was a new estate called West Meadows and Coolaroo. Still there, of course.
Coolaroo.
And it was kind of literally the edge of the northern city. It was only 20 minutes away, right?
Yeah.
But so for me as a kid, my parents were moving out there. It was affordable housing when governments were really keen on providing affordable housing options back in the day. And so we kind of had this brand new house. We were all really excited. My parents were like, I had an older brother. We had a 3-bedroom house, I should say. So we all had a bedroom each. And literally we were the last house on suburbia. I got a great pic actually. I was showing Uma this morning.
Uma is your daughter, and she's she's our little audience today.
She's come along, and so I was telling her we were literally the last house, and the rest of it was like creeks and paddocks.
Awesome.
So in a weird way, even though Broadie had a bad reputation as being, a dangerous area, where we were, we sort of felt like at about 10 or 11 with a great and wild imagination that you were in the country, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit, it reminds me of Back to the Future when he gets there in the car and that estate, but it's just all land and a few houses and there's nothing else. It sounds like that.
I love that. That's a really beautiful vision.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that in my mind when I reflect back on my teenage years.
Yeah.
But,
let's go there, Christian. Can you tell the story of what you told me?
I'll try to be as succinct as possible, which isn't always my forte as a hairdresser. But essentially, we were sort of, we would go often walking along. You'd go yabbing down the creek. You would go looking for lizards, sometimes find snakes. And, free ranging. Like when we grew up, we were free ranging kids, right? Like, in those days, you just like with you and your friends.
No parent supervision. You just off you go.
Just be home for dinner.
Yeah.
Could come home before the lights. So off we'd go walking, and about an hour, I think it was, walk from our home, again, sort of northern, there was a horse riding school. So this is how it all sort of started. And there's a horse riding school, and you could hire a horse for an hour or for half a day. And so we did that for a little while. We saved up some of our pocket money, and then we soon realised that we couldn't afford to do that on the regular. So me and a few friends started hatching the idea if we could sort of save up some cash, maybe hustle a little bit with some part-time work, go down to the local trash and treasure, we could save up and get our own horse. Made sense, So, we put it to my parents, and my parents were awesome. I kind of, and they were kind of like a bit like sort of growing up in the castle. They were like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. How are you going to do it? Yeah. And, being resourceful at that age, we saved up our pocket money, and basically we started thinking, well, how much does a horse cost? What do you have to, so we looked up the trading post. I don't know if you remember the trading post.
Tell him he's dreaming.
Exactly. Hence the castle reference. So we looked up the trader, and we were kind of looking through there, and we looked at horses, and they weren't cheap, but there were a few that were really cheap, probably the really older ones, neglected, whatever. So somehow managed to save enough, me and a few mates, to buy our own horse.
What's cheap? I'm intrigued.
It was funny. I was thinking back, reminiscing on the story recently, and I thought to myself, I'm thinking about $100 or $200.
Are you serious?
Wow.
For a horse?
For a horse. But it would have been the ones that somehow ended up in a paddock and weren't particularly loved. We're not talking equestrian thoroughbreds here. So I don't know, somehow with a few $100, I told my parents I'd found a horse in the trader and we were going to get it. And my mate was doing a similar thing, and they were like...
As in your mate was going to buy one as well?
He was going to buy one as well. And, Mum and Dad were amazing. They're like, okay, well, how are you going to get it from there to there? And I said, look, we'll ring them up. We'll have to get a float. And so they were kind of keen. I think they were as excited as I was, actually. And so... Where
were you going to keep this horse?
Well, you sort of work it out as you go, right? Each step of the way. And we'd sort of... There must have been, we thought, well, we've got a lot of land next to us. Maybe we could just start a paddock, and we could tether them, or we could, get some fencing, and, we just, I guess it's all, you had a lot of time in your hands, no technology, clearly. And so
Can you imagine deciding a free block of land that you're just going to use it now? There's just no way.
No.
There were no permits in those days, or no one sort of worrying about
the rules
what you're doing. It was quite sweet. We, we thought about this. And so we ended up somehow managing, Mum and Dad went down to the local BP or somewhere close by and hired a float, which you could do in the 80s. Like a trailer, I guess.
Yeah, like there's floats lined up next to the trailers.
We somehow managed to go and get this beautiful pony, which I'd later called Patches.
And we got him home. You did.
Yeah. And, a few of us ended up with horses. And, of course, we had to break them in, right, because they weren't sort of, ridden that much. So that was an interesting rodeo ride in itself.
So did you have to go off and buy a saddle and all that stuff?
Eventually, it's interesting. I got a couple of pics that I was looking at recently, and I think initially all I could afford was probably a bridle. And that was kind of cool. Imagine in the 80s growing up with
just bareback.
Bareback, yeah. There was a lot of Western films in the 80s, right? Or the 70s.
Bareback in your Fabergés.
Yes. You've actually given us some photos, so we'll put them up somewhere so people can see.
Would have definitely had the Fabergés, the acid wash. I mean, it's great looking back at the photo, the Richmond socks, Dunlops. Dunlop
But what
runners.
struck me in the photo was how you were literally just on the street, on the suburban street, just on your horse.
I know, and the good thing is, no one seemed to bother. When we were we got the horses back, we tethered them next to my house, and I have a great photo today, literally just tied up next to the house. And no one was like, what are you doing there? You need to have a permit for that, and you can't do that. People were like, what are you up to? And we're like, oh, we're just getting some horses, we're riding. Oh, great. Can we have a ride? yeah, sure, later on. It was just...
We're just like kids on your BMXs, but just on horses.
Correct. Up until then, the BMX was the extension of oneself. And now we had another modality of getting around.
Yeah. So just to get a visual, you kept them on a free block of land just down the street?
Yeah. So
did you build a fence around them?
Yeah. So a few guys all got together and we just got posts and, over the weekends, we'd just start posting out a paddock with some barbed wire and make a big sort of paddock where we kept all our horses. And then
so they all just lived there together in
pretty
there?
Pretty much, yeah. And so every morning I would have to then, my parents were doing the classic, well, you can have a pony, but, as long as you feed it, as long as you pick up after it.
Pick up after it. Just, yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, sure, and so we did, we kind of every morning I'd get up and go around and feed it and sort of keep an eye on it. And then after school, you'd go and brush it and take it for a ride, that sort of thing.
So a ride in the suburban streets?
Look, mostly.
Or on the paddock?
Yeah, a bit of both. Bit of sort of,
go to the milk bar.
Bread. Yeah, you would. Because we just saw it was amazing. And it was weird. No one seemed that bothered, like I said.
I feel like in the 80s, they weren't
do a
bothered.
Paper round on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, good idea. I wish we had thought of that, actually. Could have made a bit more money and would have been less tiresome than on the BMX.
Yeah.
I feel like people didn't give a shit back then.
I know.
With things like that. You just could not do that now.
You couldn't. I mean, it was funny because when my daughter first saw the photo, she's like, oh, that's amazing. Like, can I get a horse? And, my natural reaction was like, yeah, right. Because you think of the expenses, you think of the logistics. It's just almost seems like such an expensive and impossible idea.
Yeah.
Back then, my parents were like, oh, I can't see why not.
Yeah. Couple $100. Got a spare paddock in the backyard.
Because go for it. There's so many rules now. There's just so many rules that wouldn't you allow you to do that. Just weren't there back then.
I know. Like, I was funny. I was telling Emma just the other day. I had a client of mine. She knows Emma's her name. Shout out. She went around to her friends. I think they were borrowing a table or something for a big party, and they thought they'd fit it in the car, right? And basically, they've taken the legs off, realised they can't, so they've put a bit of blanket over the top, tied it on the roof. And they're going like just around the 3 streets away, right? This is just recently. And basically she's driving home. They got it home safely, had the party, yada, yada, yada. The point of the story is 2 days later she gets a call from the police. I kid you not, true story. And she says, I get this call from the police. They say to me, we've got a photo of you driving around. We've got your license plate with a big thing on the roof as reckless driving. We're a bit concerned. And someone's taken a photo and sent it to us. Oh, and we have to just follow up and, make sure that, it was tied on safely and that you're not driving around with it. And, of course she was like, what are you talking about? This is crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So it has got a little bit, extreme in not only things
Did they allude to who the person was that complained?
Probably
their age group, or
I don't know.
Because mine immediately goes to an older person, but they're the generation that your parents that let you have the horse. So if it is an older person, what's changed? Well, maybe there was always the complainer.
There's always Karens. But it wasn't a Karen, it was a Miss Mangle. Maybe
Mrs. Mangle.
Miss Mangle was the Karen.
Yes, for people who don't know, she was the old lady on Neighbours in the 80s.
Yeah. We all had one that was in the area.
We always had one,
So what happened with
what happened to Patches?
Yeah.
How long did you have Patches for?
A couple of years, I'd say. Like, it's all a bit vague, that sometimes things can be. But I reckon I was about 12 or 13. We rode the horses around for a good couple of years on and off. And then, the horse was getting pretty old by that stage, hence the cheaper, variety.
Yeah.
And, it would also escape quite a lot, which was interesting. It had a nickname called Houdini because it would often, I'd wake up and my dad would be like, hey, your horse is out again and it's on our lawn. So it would sort of escape from the paddock around the corner and come home and.
Oh, so it knew where you lived.
Just wanted to hang.
Just wanted to chill, wanted to go for a ride or hang out. But eventually got pretty old and it went to the farm
to the paddock.
It went and retired. It went and retired to someone else. I know it's a crazy thing to think about, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it just really made me laugh because it's so contrasting to today. Like you beautifully explained that by telling us about the table on the car. It's just like you just couldn't get away with deciding to own a horse now.
No.
And if you did, you'd have to keep it. My friend's daughter rides horses and they live in the country, basically live in the country, but you couldn't just do it in suburbia.
I know. They do a gisting or something now, don't they? Is that the word?
Is that the word?
I'm not quite sure, but you pay someone to basically keep it somewhere. And then, it's just out of most people's reach, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this was just something you said, I got an idea and the horses were well looked after, and we'd have them. The farrier would come and sort of clip their nails, put some shoes on.
Your horses?
Yeah, they would.
Oh, you really looked after Patches.
Yeah, well, we sort of got to know the whole scene from we'd then ride to the horse riding school and go on rides with our own horses.
How old were you again?
Did you feel like badasses?
12, 13. We felt pretty cool.
Did you feel cool riding in there?
We felt pretty cool.
Did you ride from your place to there or did you take it on a float?
No. Once the float was hired to get the horse there, that was it,
So you rode your horse to the school? That's badass.
You rode at the school?
To the horse riding school, which gave them the
idea. To school.
How far away was that?
I would have rode at school if I had thought about that, actually.
Yeah,
but
put in the
your mum probably said you weren't allowed to. But how far away was the horse riding school from your house on a horse?
It was probably about 10, 15 Ks, but it seemed like, as a kid that old.
You were in a Western in your mind, I'm sure.
We were so Western. Yeah. It was so cool. But you would go, there was a lot of paddocks, so we'd ride weekend riding a lot over there. But then you'd always go through the streets, go to the milk bar, get some fish and chips, tie the horse up out the front.
Yeah, tied up the front.
Next to the BMXs. No one seemed to be, everyone was cool.
And no one was really saying anything.
I think in the end there was about at least 5 of us that I can remember that had horses, and occasionally we would swap them for a ride on a motorbike because motorbikes were also big back then. Some kids, and I think my parents weren't keen on me having a motorbike. Now I think about it, maybe the horse was the compromise.
Yeah, safer.
It was a bit safer option.
Yeah.
Whereas kids would ride, RM80s and 125s and motorbikes around.
So you'd swap a ride?
Occasionally you'd say, okay, horse for the afternoon for a motorbike. I know, it sounds weird sort of saying it out loud now.
Yeah.
But it seemed pretty normal back in the day.
Yeah, that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah. The 80s. I mean, there's so many great stories in there from the 80s. I've been loving hearing the podcast for that reason and thinking of the good and bad of both times that we're now. Like you said, the restrictions that feel a little bit weird now, but how it was a lot more sort of open back then in many ways.
And it's really, I often find, I don't know if you guys do, but saying to my kids, like when a new restriction or rule comes in, a government thing, and they're like, Mom, what are you? And I'm like, you don't understand. We didn't have any rules back then. It just feels like it's so different, but they just can't comprehend it because it's stupid to say, but they weren't there. So they don't know how much freer it felt back then. And maybe it wasn't. It just felt like that to us.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a lot more I think as kids we grew up with a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
And that's something that if you've grown up you're really lucky to have had. But then we didn't have technology. So you kind of like you were bored and you just got out there and explored, and there's something really nostalgic and beautiful about growing up in that era.
Yeah.
It was simple and you found things to do, you created things.
You got creative.
Because you had to.
You spent the whole 6 weeks of your holidays making a BMX park.
I was just going to say that. That was exactly what I was thinking.
Jumps.
Doing the jumps and, bloody dangerous too. When you think back, some of the stuff we used to do, and there was a vacant block of land, and there would have been, everyone would just contribute, like a little community of kids.
Yes.
You didn't necessarily know each other, but you'd rock up. You might not go there for a couple of days, and you rock up and you'd see that someone's built a ramp, and a big jump, and you think, oh, awesome, I've got to try that now, until they, come in and build and knock it all down. But you'd build this little community, and everyone's sort of, it was nice because you didn't necessarily know every single person there.
Yeah.
You just all be on your BMXs and contributing to this track that you've built.
What about the lining? The thing that we always thought, because I had an older brother as well, so we did a lot of ramps and jumping. But what about the lining the kids up? Did you ever do that?
Oh, yeah.
Jump the kids. Can you jump over them?
You want to be in the middle. You don't want to be close to the ramp at the end.
Yeah, close to the ramp.
You know what I mean? So
not the end. Yeah.
You start with 2 or 3 kids and everyone to jump over the kids.
I do remember that.
Standing or lying down?
No, lying standing.
Jeez.
Okay,
Take it easy.
Evil Knievel could do it.
Extreme sports that came in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
But you'd all be laying
Yes.
down, and so you'd build the ramp, and you'd see how many kids you could jump, and it got
Yes.
bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that. There was a few injuries, but mostly survived.
Yeah.
Mostly survival.
The preparation for it too, the practicing, and then the kid would just go and he'd just fucking eat shit straight away. And you're like, well, that's it. He didn't get there.
Yeah.
He didn't,
Next, move over, get your bike, get out of the way.
But he'd been
Someone else
talking it
wants
up
to
for
go.
like a week and then just straight away ate shit, broke his arm. He's gone.
Yeah.
Yep, you were out.
Yeah.
I mean, the BMXs, it was funny again, listening to the podcast has brought up a lot of stories for myself, listening to you guys throw stories. And the name of the podcast is great, by the way. But
Thank you.
I had this other great visual just in my mind like a couple of days ago where I remember, and I don't know if you remember when the VCRs and the beat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Yeah.
So it was really cool. And it got wind in our area that someone's dad had got a copy of ET. They were going to see it. And they were going to play it at like 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. And, everyone was welcome.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, cool. It was like a few courts up or a few streets up.
So you got on your horse.
Basically, get on the horse. And we went over there and you had like, a few horses out front. And then you had about 20 BMXs on the wall.
Just thrown over.
Throw your bike down and walk straight off. Yeah.
Correct.
No one locks
so
it.
true.
Yeah.
Down. And then you walked into the house and the lights are out and the VC is ready to play, and there was about like 30 kids in the lounge, all
Awesome.
sort of squished.
How cool.
To
I love
see
it.
the first movie, It was like being in the film.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was great.
It was so exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a mate who, again, had the VHS player, and he had he got the first copy of Thriller.
Oh, yeah.
We all went to his place after school and watched Thriller.
A showing.
A showing. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Speaking of Thriller, what was your first album?
Oh, that's a good point. I looked back a little while ago. I had Split Ends as one of my first album, True Colours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was mainly because I liked the look of the cover of the album. But
What was the cover? Can you remember?
It was quite bright.
Yeah, all their covers were bright, weren't they?
It was kind of.
Was
good.
it the green one?
It would have had 6 months at a leaky, but I don't know. It was
Yeah.
had some great early tunes, wasn't it? It was really
Everything was heavily based on the cover.
Yeah.
I feel like back then, like even with Commodore 64 games, if the cover looked really cool, you'd think it was going to be a cool game, but you'd always be really disappointed. Movies as well, They used to sell movies. I saw a documentary. They used to sell movies based on to get funding based on the poster. So they'd show the poster first and then get the backing and the funding for the movie.
I like that.
Yeah. So
Again, simpler times.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was all very heavily based on, what the front cover looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess once you bought the album, you weren't downloading every day or buying several albums a month. So
No.
you had to then just listen to
right.
it.
Yeah.
And you had to commit, and then after a while you might love it, as it turns out, or you might, love half of it, but you kind of really got to know the track.
Yeah, rather than just the popular songs that were off that album,
Correct.
It was quite rare though, wasn't it, that every song was a banger?
Oh,
it's like
there's some albums though.
Some albums
have
definitely,
bangers.
and I cannot. Well, Thriller's probably one of them, but there's not many albums where every single song. But because you love the artist, you just loved every song.
Well, you had to, yeah.
You had to. You were committed. What was your first concert?
I was interesting. Bon Jovi.
Nice.
Concerts, yeah. I was.
Which tour? Slippery When Wet?
Slippery When Wet. It probably would have been that. Would have been about 89 or something like that. 88. That was a big first stadium concert. I mean, because we grew up going to gigs all the time in the pubs and dragged along to festivals and things like that. But that was the serious, mum dropping us off, going into a stadium.
Yeah.
The Tennis Centre, was it?
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, I reckon it would have been the Tennis Centre. It seemed epic.
That was the big exciting stadium at the time, wasn't it?
And I remember back then, like, again, I sometimes reminisce and probably bore my daughter now. I'm thinking about it with some of these stories, but you couldn't go out and just buy the outfits, right? So at least where I was growing up, I remember watching, Bon Jovi. They had all the tassels on the jacket.
Oh, yeah.
How do you do that? So, I'd go out and get an op shop leather jacket and Mum would sort of stitch things on it. And, you kind of like jeans and you'd sort of get them tailored in and stuff like that just to get the look.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was pretty cool.
That is so funny because everything would take so long to get here too from America. Like,
we've talked about that before.
With denim, I had a denim jacket and I really wanted the leather collar.
Oh,
with the brown suede or brown leather on the outside. So I got my cousin to sew it on.
Did you?
They didn't have them in Australia because I'd seen them in American movies somewhere. And
did it look good?
I thought it did.
Sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
I remember in the 90s, remember when 501 jeans came in and my auntie went to America and she was like, I'll get you anything. And I'm like, can you get me some 501 jeans? Because they weren't really big here yet. Yeah. But everyone was talking about them. I think, what were they wearing on them on 90210 or something? Yeah. And so she said, what size? And I said, I don't know. I didn't know because the sizes were the men's 28 and I think I asked for 32. They were so too big for me. But I had to wear a belt. They looked so shit. But I didn't care because they were 501.
Oh, baggy jeans came in. So
this was beyond baggy. Like if I didn't wear a belt, they would just fall down. Like they were too big. But I wouldn't. I was like, no, I want 501, so I'd just wear them with a belt. They look stupid.
Button up 501s because it was the button fly that made the real difference.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
with the whole look.
That was their point of difference. Was the button fly, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But we'd seen it. We'd seen it all in the movies, and you just couldn't access all that growing up, which is in a weird way, exciting when you could get something, something close to it. Yeah. Now you can purchase everything.
Yeah, right, like Paul and I were talking one time about how you'd have to wait for an album to come from. You knew it had been released in the US, for example, and then you'd wait 6 months before you could get it here or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always wanted Eddie Murphy's shoes in Beverly Hills Cop, the Adidas that he used to wear.
High top one?
No, they're just like Adidas. I don't know what with the 3 stripes on them, and you just couldn't get them here. And it took years and years and years for them to come out here.
Well, they also didn't have kids' sizes. I don't know about you. I mean, this is probably
that's right.
But I remember when, I'd go into the shop and I think my brother started buying some pretty cool trainers, but they'd only do them in adult sizes.
Yeah, well, we talked about that the other week about how there was only kid stuff and adult stuff.
Yes.
There wasn't kids didn't wear adult stuff.
Yeah.
You go to the kids section. Yeah. And Christian, what's you go to mixollies? What would be your
as
go-to
a kid?
The pineapples were always a favourite.
Pineapple,
really?
Yeah, something that's sweet, but the green on the yellow.
Slightly sour,
There was a sour almost element. Yeah.
Teeth fan? Were you a teeth fan? I was never a teeth fan.
Me either.
They'd be at the back. They were sort of like if you were trading or something.
That's first to go.
They wouldn't be the first, because they're always a bit drier and a bit not quite right. But I remember you guys chatting about an episode when you go in and be able to pick them all.
Oh, yeah,
they were the days.
So pineapple would have been your first choice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
They would have only been 1 cent pineapples.
Yeah, I hope so. I feel like, I think, 1, 2 cent. Was it 5 cent lollies as well? But
you're budgeting. You just spend all your money on a horse.
It all out.
Trading. Can only afford the pineapples.
Trading pineapples for a ride, for an hour ride.
Oh, my God. Did you do that? You could have done easily. Did you get kids to pay for a ride?
Yeah, we did.
That would have been a money maker.
The bartering system. It wasn't cash driven, but it was more
pineapple driven motorbikes.
Bag of lollies for
you would do that?
You would, as long as they were, respectful of the horse, of course. But definitely. It was all barter system in those days.
But so how tall are we talking?
It was more of a pony, 13 hands, I think it was from memory around that. So
that's like that?
Yeah, it was a smaller
So it wasn't like, because some horses are huge.
Yeah, well, some of the
huge. 20 hands.
Yeah, 18, 20 hands. Some of the proper horses.
Taller than me.
Some of the proper horses I think are around 18 to 20. Someone might correct me if I'm wrong, but on the details. But it was on the smaller side definitely, which for me was fantastic.
For a 10-year-old,
you could sort of jump up from back to Western style.
Would you do that?
Nice.
Of course you would.
That's like in the movies.
Yeah, well, we were trying to create the movies in our real lives.
Could you do it one arm with the milkshake in hand coming out of the milk bar? One hand, milkshake in
nice.
hand.
Well, I'd like to say I did.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So you would literally do that, jump onto the... What was that from? Blazing Saddles? What?
Yeah.
No, it's just country or westerns.
Really?
Yeah,
I wasn't a Western fan
Blazing
till
Saddles.
later. Young Guns was when I started
Young
getting.
Guns.
Yeah, and really, that's just pretty boys in a cowboy film. It's not really.
I grew up on all the John Wayne movies. With
Did
Dad.
you?
Yeah.
Did you too, Christian?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because let's face it, you had one TV in the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot on for kids, right? There was an
and
hour
you'd
or
watch what
something.
your dad was watching.
Yes.
You didn't get
You were in.
to choose what you were watching. Yeah.
That was
Correct.
MASH for us.
Yeah. I remember Dad coming home, like we'd be watching TV and Mum would say, "Oh, your dad's home," and we'd have to get out of his favourite chair.
Yeah, same.
And then he would walk in and he'd just grab the remote and change whatever you were watching.
Same,
Just
Paul.
take over. That was just what it was.
Oh my God,
It's all the
same.
tolerance, though, didn't it? I guess you kind of watch things you wouldn't otherwise watch, and again, like listening to an album you didn't like all the hits.
Yeah.
You eventually like things.
Yeah.
Pros and cons.
A lot of
Oh, look at
ABC
you
shows.
seeing the positive side of it.
good and bad.
But it's funny, like they
It's just
put on-
annoying me still right now. I
No, you'd
forgot
switch
that.
off the show you're watching, but then you'd end up watching like All Creatures Great and Small on ABC
Yeah.
and so, and you end up liking it, all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
Four Corners.
You
and-
like animals. Oh,
Yeah, I love animals.
yeah.
What was the other favourite holiday? Did you have a family holiday destination
Good point.
as a kid?
We were lucky. We sort of had lots of family sort of scattered throughout Victoria, like Warrnambool, because I'd sort of grown up in Chelsea. My parents were both born in Warrnambool.
Yeah.
So we had family out there in Hayfield and places like that on farms, which was always amazing as kids because, free ranging in the city was one thing, but we'd go out to say Warrnambool to some uncles and aunties' farms, and then you'd free range on the farm, right?
Yeah.
Which meant driving a paddock bomb around.
Oh, cool.
So
Awesome.
you'd learn to drive basically in
Yeah.
holidays, and exploring those kind of places. But yeah, it was mostly with family when I grew up. It wasn't a place to go.
And did you see when you were ever there a huge Black Panther?
Oh, it's funny you say that.
Because we were talking about that last time, and
Myths,
have you heard
80s
about
myths.
that myth about the
Urban
panthers
myths.
out there?
Yeah.
Surely you saw one in Warrnambool.
No, it's funny. We were looking for everything. The thing probably saw a snake or two heading in another direction was about all we really saw. But the panther, it's a big thing, isn't it? Does it exist? Will we see it?
I know. I want to
Interesting.
see it.
I never saw it, but
Never saw it.
I
I remember my aunt and uncle lived at Red Hill, and when you said the learning to drive, we didn't learn to drive, but my uncle, there's always an old car that just lived in the paddock and they never, it wasn't their main car. Is that what you call it? A paddock bomb? He would put us in the boot and shut the boot and then just ride us around in the paddock, and we thought it was awesome. There'd be 4 kids in the boot, and he'd just, it's really bouncy, and he would be laughing his head off, and we just thought it was the best, as if you would let kids do it.
So only 4 kids, 5 kids too
There were
dangerous.
actually 5. No, the 2 cousins and the 3 of us, so there was actually 5. But maybe Mouse was too little or something, but I clearly remember that.
bold, isn't it,
He was
mate?
just fanging it around, and we thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
it would be awesome.
Yeah.
It'd be like going to Luna Park,
Yeah.
now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we-
And my friend's dad was a milkman. And I remember this was just around here, but he had the milk van home on the weekends, and he would put all the kids in the back of the milk van and fang it around the streets. We were just in the, what's it called in the back? The
Part of the
box.
Fridge.
The fridge bit,
refrigerator.
yeah. And we'd just be standing up in there, and he'd go quick round a corner, and we'd all fly to the other side of the thing. We were just laughing our heads off.
That's gold.
That's probably illegal.
Oh, it would have been
Didn't know
highly
we
legal.
had back then. The dairy was in Moorabbin, actually.
That's gold. That's
It's not there now, though. Oh, it's not there now.
No. And Christian, how long have you been hairdressing for?
Yeah, it's been 36 years
Oh,
now,
wow.
I believe. Yeah, kind of. So after year 12, I went pretty much straight into an apprenticeship into South Melbourne, and one of the first guys I met was a musician and hairdresser, so it was great. It was a really good industry to go into.
Yeah, cool.
But I think it all started back, if I reminisced, from about 14, 15, we started doing the undercuts. I
Yes.
remember about the undercuts.
Oh,
They come back a little bit now.
I have seen them come back,
Busted had an undercut the other day.
Yeah. You did one.
Yeah, busted one out the other day.
Awesome.
So, the shaves on the side, come back. But, the undercuts were pretty much all around there shaved.
I had an undercut. I could never get flat tops.
Flat
I went
tops.
through that whole, everyone wanted a flat top, but I couldn't have it because I had a, what's it called, cowlick?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that would, and so they could never get it right.
Remember that guy when we go play basketball around near us, and we called him Black Plate? Remember him? Because he just had this, like, literally, he just cut his hair that it looked like he had this black plate on the top of his head. Everything else was shaved. And we'd go, you'd always be there and he'd always have the ring. And we'd go, black plate's there. Do you not remember that?
Hogging the hoop.
Yeah. We'd be like, black plate. Do you not remember him?
No.
I bet you John and Mouse are laughing their heads off. Black plate. He always had the hoop.
Our hairdresser in Sandringham we used to call him Ted the Butcher. Because you'd go to get a haircut a little bit off and you'd come back and he'd pretty much shave your whole head. Like you just want a little bit and you'd come out in tears because he'd just go extreme and cut everything so short. And so we all called him Ted the Butcher.
Have you ever had a story like where you have totally, excuse my language, fucked someone's hair?
Of course, yeah.
Tell us.
Mostly on my friends, thankfully, or the hairdressers I work with, more so than clients.
What is it? What did you do?
Oh, wow, where do I start? You know what I mean? Because you got to think, we talked about the undercuts and went to the barbers and they gave us some pretty dodgy haircuts, and then I decided that I'll just start cutting my own hair at about 16.
Yeah.
So you can imagine they were already starting a bit loose where, you'd start off. First undercut, I think I gave my mate. I'm like, okay, you go first. So we pinned it all up. We're about to do the undercut and I'm clippering away and it's all looking good. And then the guard falls off the clipper and I'm gone up and he's now bald, right? Like it's gone from, reasonable length where you could sort of undercut it to like he's done this big line. And I'm thinking, well, now what do I do? Do I commit to it on the rest? Do I tell him about it? That sort of thing. So that happened probably more than once, mostly on mates' hair.
What about paid? Like as a hairdresser,
paid clients,
have you like fucked a perm?
A long time ago.
Have you fucked a perm or something back in the day?
Yeah, look, I didn't make.
I had a perm.
I was pretty lucky with the salons I worked in. It was more not so much paid clients, but it was more after work. We'd often finish work and then we'd all have a few drinks and do our own hair in the salon. When we'd be there and we'd be in the 90s.
Combination.
Probably in the early 90s, everyone was still bleaching from the 80s, right? So bleaching the crap out of hair and going white. Still.
Yes.
There was a bit of a resurgence from the whole sort of Billy Idol look.
Yeah. Yes.
So we started doing that again in the 90s, which was fun working in a salon.
M&M.
And you could imagine, you do that for too long and it starts to get pretty trashed and at a point it starts to fall out.
Yeah.
So there were a few of I remember doing that to one of the apprentices where their hair was like, literally in pieces and then thinking, what am I going to do,
What did you do? Just shave it off?
Well, yeah, it's sort of a, textured croppy sort of thing that was completely trashed and just a bit of product, try to sell it, but thankfully it wasn't a paid client. So
that's good.
Yeah, there was many stories like that.
Did you do perms back in the day?
Oh, I came in at the end of the perms.
I was going to say that's more.
I was pretty lucky.
Perms were very 80s, weren't they?
Yeah, they were very 80s. I mean, I remember them. I mean, it was funny.
I got a spiral perm in the 80s.
Spirals were a big commitment.
Yeah, they were.
They took a long time.
Yeah. Me and my friend got one at the same time together and the same lady did them. So we sat there with her for hours and then at the end she did the reveal and everything and I was like, they were quite tight. So we both had long hair and they went right up here. Wow. And then I was like, it's interesting. And my friend burst into tears and ran out and left me there with the hairdresser who just felt terrible. They were really tight, those spiral perms.
Sounds amazing. Did you love it though?
Once it dropped, because after a few weeks it kind of drops and then I did love it, although I never did it again. So maybe I didn't love it that much. But it's a big commitment.
It's a huge commitment.
A lot of chemicals.
Loads of chemicals, yeah. So that was definitely in the 80s, still early 90s.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking of Nicole Kidman had curly hair. Yeah. It was a big thing,
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember getting a haircut in Ackland Street and the guy who was cutting my hair was a bit like, notice he had the shakes. He was shaking a little bit.
Saturday morning.
It was, mate. It was 100% Saturday morning. And I was like, you just get a funny feeling.
Yeah.
Like, this guy, I feel like this guy doesn't know what he's doing. So anyway, he's cutting away. I told him what I want. And then I come out and Nikki, who was my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, I turned her and I said, can you just have a look at the back of my head and see? And she goes, oh my God, there's a big triangle cut out of the back of your head. And I said, I thought that was something was going not right. And she goes, you got to go back in there and tell them. So I went back in there and I spoke to the lady. I said, sorry, I've just had a haircut and there's like a big triangle in the back of my head. And she goes, oh, who cut your hair? And I said, oh, that guy over there. She goes, oh, why is he cutting hair? He shouldn't be cutting hair. He was just meant to be washing doing the shampoo.
Taking on a client.
So he's just thought, yeah, I can do this.
So that's why he was shaking.
Yeah, and then so I had to go back and they had to fix it. So yeah, he was like, no, well, he was.
Did you get him fired?
I don't know, but I think he had the shakes because he had a big night.
Big night as well.
Plus, he wasn't meant to be cutting hair. So yeah, that was the Ackland Street in. It's got all the statues on the top.
Yeah.
Is it still there?
It is still there.
The statues are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and there's still probably a cellar there. It might not be the same people, I'm sure now.
So,
that
Oh.
we've all, look, everyone's had a dodgy haircut of some sort.
For sure.
Whether it was from a friend or from a hairdresser and, you know, or it didn't quite turn out the way you thought.
And a big part of it is you don't speak up.
No,
you don't want to offend them by saying you're not liking it, or where I think as you get older you realise you know exactly what you want.
Yes,
I
cut all my. Remember when I went really short? Cut it all really short. I did because
yes, I've got a photo of that. Is that when you were hanging out?
Yeah,
the Marine Hotel window.
I think so. That photo, But I did it before I went travelling overseas because I thought if I hate it, no one over there will know me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you hate it or did you love it? Like, what?
It's funky, wasn't it?
I felt like a little boy.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not very tall, and I just felt like an 8-year-old boy, to be honest.
My wife always talks about how her mum always got her haircuts
really short. Yeah. Well, she was young though. I'm talking. I was 21.
Oh yeah. She was
22.
Young. Yeah.
And I had visions of what it would look like. I didn't hate it, but it was just like, that's not what I was thinking. Because, your face doesn't, I don't know. I think there was a model, Sarah, did she marry a Murdoch? Sarah O'Hare?
Oh, yeah.
She had that short hair, remember in the early 90s?
Stunning.
Yeah. So I was like, did you? You did her hair?
Yeah, I did in the 90s,
So her hair, and I looked at her and I went, that's what I want. And of course, you're not Sarah O'Hare when you get it done. And I'm
That's a good question. Celebs, any celebs like?
Oh, look, there's a few over the years. I worked in a really big salon in Sydney at the time where I was trained by one of the best colorists in Australia, which was really cool. Called Brian Thompson. He's now working a day with me at the salon, which is unbelievable after 36 years. So he did anyone overseas or any celebrities would go to him to get their hair colored.
Wow.
So I went up there and was lucky enough to work with him.
Yeah.
So every celebrity in town would go there. And then, of course, because I was sort of training under him, eventually I would sort of have the celebrities pass down the line, which was really cool. So lots of celebrities, a lot of models. So Sarah Hare and people like that were pretty common, and I quite liked doing the hair, but I was more freaked out when I get musicians in. And earlier on today, I talked about split ends.
Yeah.
And at one stage I had Tim Finn come in.
I love Tim Finn.
And I was freaking out because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to colour his hair. But I'm really nervous,
Yeah.
And he's got curly hair.
Yeah. He's got curly hair. And what am I going to say to him? And I'm putting colour on, and I was, it was in my head a little bit. And I'll never forget, I said, what are we going to do with your hair? And he said, you had a grey streak here at the front. He goes, don't colour that.
No, that was his thing, wasn't it?
Oh, I love that.
He just started flicking through a mag, and I'm like, okay, I'll do that. And so off I went and got some colour, and I'm putting it on. And then I remember going, so Tim, what music are you listening to at the moment? And he says, he's kind of just trying to not talk.
Yeah.
He's like, he sort of looked up. I've been listening to a bit of classical and different stuff. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that's cool. That was about all he sort of said.
Yeah.
But he was really, I love doing his hair all the same.
Yeah.
But I also, one stage I went on the Andrew Denton show, which was hilarious, very 90s thing. But he was making fun of the whole Pamela Anderson thing, where there was that whole resurgence of that whole Baywatch.
Yeah.
So he got me on to bleach his hair blonde, which was hilarious.
Andrew Denton.
Andrew Denton, it was totally, it was all. So again,
was that enough rope or something?
Enough, it would have been.
Was that the 90s?
It would have been because he was on the ABC initially.
Oh, that's right.
Commercial TV.
Yes.
And he did the Tonight Live thing for a while.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So I was on that show.
Yeah.
Then he went back to ABC after it and did the interview. So that was really cool. But
was that when the Pamela and the short denim skirts with the Ugg boots, that kind of, and she had that whole look.
Yeah, she had the whole thing. And it was it was that real American sort of vibe that was coming through, and it was all a bit, so he was doing a bit of a piss take with it all, and he got me on to bleach his hair blonde. He had really dark hair, and so it went really yellow. And I remember at the time he's like, oh, that looks great. It's so bad,
Yeah.
And so, then he rocked it, and he put on bikini and did or bathing suit, the one that she wore, and did this whole skit of him running down the beach. It was so accurate. And there's I was only about 20 or something.
Yeah,
21,
cool.
So I
good experience.
Just going, that is out there.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild. But
It's
it was
great.
cool. It was a cool story.
Yeah.
I've got the VCR at home.
Oh, yeah.
You've got it? Oh, I'd love to see that.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, having that.
So yeah, lots of models and celebrities and that sort of thing back in the day.
Yeah. Sydney was more the place back then, wasn't it? It was funny. I was talking to my youngest the other day, and he said to me, Melbourne's just like the place to be, isn't it? Like Sydney's. I'm like, it wasn't back in the day. Yeah. Everything was about Sydney, and Melbourne was like the weird little brother.
Well, especially with with acting work too.
Yeah.
If you weren't in Sydney, you miss out.
Exactly. Whereas now it's.
Well, it's been voted the best city in the world, right? This year.
There we go, Melbourne.
Sort of
Good on you,
Melbourne. Before, but we won it again this year. So I can. Yeah. I think it's all happening here. It's where it's.
Yeah, and it's found its own thing. Like it was always the arty or the sporty kind of place, but Sydney was the place, and now it's. I don't know. Love you, Sydney, but it's not as much. Yeah, I felt like Melbourne was the weird little brother.
Yeah, culturally, I think Melbourne's always had an edge, though, hasn't it? Like, I remember when I was living in Sydney in the 90s for about 6 years, and I'd come back to Melbourne and I'd be like, man, this place is cool, because you had a different perspective, and there was lots of bands and lots of music.
Yeah, music's big.
Yeah, and it was a little bit more interesting, whereas in Sydney, it was a bit more showy. You had the celebrities and you had the kind of mainstream culture, but it wasn't as kind of alternative at that time.
It was like very representative.
A little bit more polished in Sydney.
Well, it was like representative of Australia to the rest of the world. Correct. Because it's such a beautiful place, like sitting on that harbour. It's stunning. But the way Australia was presented to the world was through Sydney, wasn't it?
I agree.
So
100%.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Christian, thank you so much for coming on our podcast today.
It's been great.
Love that.
Love the story.
I just felt like that story needed to be said out loud because I couldn't believe it when you said it to me in the salon.
Thank you for letting me think about it and talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool to think about it. One of these things happen, don't they? You don't really second guess them, but looking back, it has.
Yeah, it's just so normal to.
And it really reminds you, I guess.
Yeah. So just to remind everyone, your salon is called?
It's Christian Brown Hair, and I'm in St Kilda opposite the town hall.
Oh, I thought it was Elwood. St Kilda.
St Kilda.
You're on the cusp, aren't you?
I am, just near Carlos Street, Brighton Road. So it's a good little pocket.
My colour, if you like my colour, then off you go. Go to Christian. He won't give you a shit undercut.
Hair, but
I appreciate that.
No triangles cutting out the back.
I could do a little pattern at the back.
I hadn't thought about that. Bring it back.
The brick wall. Bring back the brick wall.
That could be cool.
Yeah. And also, just listeners, if anybody else has got a story, so Christian's is a great example of That's So 80. So if you've got some kind of story that would not happen today, we'd love for you to come on and talk about it.
Absolutely.
Or you could just write it to us if you don't want to come on the pod, and we'll read it out because that's so 80s.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.